The diner door slammed open so hard the bell snapped sideways, and a tiny white girl sprinted inside, barefoot, breathless, eyes wide like she'd just outrun a nightmare. "Please, please help me, he's coming." Her voice cracked mid-sentence. Keisha froze. She was wiping tables a second ago. Now the little girl was clutching her apron with shaking fingers, digging in like she was holding on for life itself. Her cheeks streaked with dirt, her knees bruised, her whole body trembling. And then Keisha saw it. The way the girl kept staring at the door like a monster was standing on the other side. That's when Keisha whispered, "Baby, what happened? Who's coming?" The girl's answer was barely a breath. "He said no one will believe me, and he's right behind me." And then the doorknob turned. A terrified child begging a black waitress to protect her from a grown white man steps away from the door, and no one in the diner knows what she's running from or how deadly the truth really is. If this already made your blood boil, tap like, and subscribe so you don't miss stories where justice finally wins. The door creaked open. A tall white man stepped inside, calm, clean, pressed shirt, perfect hair. The kind of man who looked like he'd never raise his voice, let alone chase a child through a parking lot. He scanned the room with a fake sweet smile. "There you are," he said softly. "You scare me half to death, sweetheart." The girl hid completely behind Keisha's legs. Keisha set one hand in front of the child, her voice steady. "She's terrified. Why is she running from you?" The man placed a palm on his chest like a practice gesture. "I'm her temporary guardian. She gets confused. I'll take her home." But the girl shook her head violently, tears spilling. "No, don't let him. Please don't let him take me." Conversations in the diner died instantly. Forks stopped midair. A couple in the corner froze, watching the scene unfold like something wasn't adding up. The man took one slow step forward. "Move aside," he whispered. "This has nothing to do with you." Keisha didn't move. "Baby," she said gently, looking down at the girl, "tell me the real reason you ran." The girl swallowed hard. And the truth, the first shard of it, slipped out. "Because he's not who he says he is." For a moment, nobody in the diner breathed. The low hum of the ceiling fan was the only sound between the three of them. The terrified child, the black waitress standing firm, and the white man whose smile didn't match the cold in his eyes. Keisha crouched down just enough to meet the girl's gaze. "Sweetheart, you're safe right now. You can talk to me." The girl's lip quivered. "My name is Lily," she whispered. "And he told me not to tell anyone." Keisha nodded softly. "Okay, Lily, you did the right thing coming here." Across the room, Brooke, the diner's manager, pretended to wipe the counter, but her eyes stayed locked on the man. Even the trucker at booth 3 leaned forward, sensing something wasn't right. The man slid both hands into his pockets, casual, rehearsed. "I think we should step outside," he said, voice calm as syrup. "She's scared. I need to take her home." But Lily clutched harder at Keisha's apron. "She's shaking," Keisha said, "and you talk like you rehearsed that line in the mirror." He chuckled, a soft, polite laugh that made the room colder. "You misunderstand. I'm her school counselor. Her parents trusted me today, while they're out of town. You can call the principal if you like." Keisha raised a brow. "Oh, I will." Lily shook her head instantly. "No, don't. Please." He said if I told anyone, they'd think I was lying. Something in her voice cracked the whole room open. Keisha stood up slowly, placing one hand on Lily's shoulder, the way a shield fits around something fragile. "Sir," she said, "I'm going to need you to stay right where you are until we figure out why this child ran here barefoot." The man's jaw flexed just a fraction, but enough to expose the first crack. He tilted his head, eyes narrowing. "You're just a waitress," he murmured, "and you're overstepping." A hush fell. Brooke stepped closer. "Sir, if the child's afraid, we can call someone." I said she's confused. He snapped, sharp this time, like his mask slipped for half a second. Lily flinched behind Keisha. Keisha looked at him differently now. Really looked. The perfect shirt, the polished shoes, the calculated tone. The kind of man who expected everyone to believe him just because he said so. Confused? Keisha echoed. She ran barefoot through a parking lot. Something confused her, all right, but I don't think it was her. He took a slow inhale, then smiled again, too wide, too controlled. I won't ask again, he said. Step aside. Keisha tightened her stance. Not until Lily tells the whole truth. Lily swallowed, then whispered the words that made the entire diner go still. He told me if I didn't go with him, no one would ever see me again. The diner went dead quiet. Not the kind of quiet where people mind their business. The kind where every heartbeat in the room lines up with fear. Keisha felt Lily's grip tighten around her waist. The child wasn't just scared. She was certain. The white man, Ryan, blinked once in that polished, good citizen smile faded just a shade too fast. That's not what I said, he replied softly, almost offended. She's frightened. Children exaggerate. But Lily shook her head hard. No. You said if I screamed again, you'd make sure nobody ever found me. A couple at booth 5 covered their mouths. One old man muttered, Lord have mercy. Ryan took a slow step closer. Sweetheart, you're confused. Come here. Keisha stepped in front of Lily so fast that her shoes scraped the tile. You take one more step, she said, and you're stepping into a world you're not ready for. He paused. Not because he feared her, but because he wasn't used to being stopped. Ma'am, he said, voice razor thin, you're being emotional. And none of this. Emotional? Keisha cut in. She ran in here barefoot, crying for help. Ryan leaned forward, lowering his tone. Black women always assume hostility when none exists. That was it. Gasps rippled through the diner. Brooke slammed the towel down. Even the trucker stood up halfway. Keisha didn't flinch. You just told on yourself, she whispered. A terrified girl says a man threatened to make her disappear. Yet he keeps insisting he's the only one she should trust. Someone is lying, and the truth is darker than anyone in the diner is ready for. If this happened in front of you, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if you stand for fairness, hit subscribe. Ryan's smile dropped completely now. He looked around the diner, at every watching face, then leaned closer to Keisha, voice dripping venom. You don't know who you're dealing with. Keisha didn't move. Neither do you. Lily tugged her arm, whispering, Don't let him take me. Please, please don't let him take me. Keisha squeezed the girl's hand gently. You're not going anywhere with him. Not today. Ryan's eyes darkened. The practice counselor act completely gone. He spoke through clenched teeth. You're obstructing a guardian. That's a charge. And you're scaring a minor in front of witnesses. Keisha replied. That's another kind of charge. Brooke picked up the diner phone. I'm calling the principal, she announced. If you're telling the truth, you won't mind. Ryan's face twitched. No, Lily breathed, eyes filling. He will mind, because she stopped, choking on fear. Keisha knelt beside her. It's okay. Say it. Lily finally whispered the truth that made every muscle in the room lock. Because he's not my guardian. My parents don't even know he picked me up today. Ryan didn't blink. For the first time since he walked into the diner, he looked exposed, like Lily's words peeled something off him that he'd been hiding under a polished smile and a pressed shirt. Keisha rose slowly, placing herself fully between him and the child. Her parents don't know you picked her up? Keisha asked, voice steady but louder now, loud enough for every witness to hear. Ryan forced a smile back onto his face, but it was tight, strained, crooked around the edges. Of course they know, he said. We arranged it earlier. She must be confused. You know how kids are. But Lily shook her head so fast her ponytail whipped. No, Mommy told me to wait at school until she came. He told me she'd change her mind and send him. Someone near the window whispered, What kind of counselor does that? Ryan snapped, The kind who cares. The kind who steps in when parents don't. The diner collectively recoiled. Even Brooke took a step back. Keisha held her ground. You're getting louder, she said, not more convincing. Ryan pointed at her. You're manufacturing drama. You people always do. Keisha cut him with a single glare. Say it, she said. Go ahead. Finish the sentence. He swallowed it, but the damage was already done. The room had shifted. The biker at the corner booth stood up now, arms crossed. The elderly couple rose too, murmuring, "This doesn't look right." Ryan looked around, finally aware he was outnumbered. "She's lying," he said, jabbing a finger at Lily. "She lies for attention. I'm the only one who understands her." Lily behind Keisha, shaking uncontrollably. Brooke held the phone to her ear. "I'm calling her school." Ryan stepped forward quickly. Too quickly. "No, you don't need to do that. It's unnecessary." Keisha stepped into his path. "You're sweating," she said quietly. "Why?" He wiped his forehead automatically, then froze, realizing everyone saw it. "That doesn't mean anything," he muttered. "It means you're nervous," the trucker said. "Men who tell the truth don't sweat like that." Ryan's voice cracked. "I'm not nervous." "Yes, you are," Keisha said calmly. "You came in here thinking nobody would challenge you. You thought you could just take her out like nothing happened." Ryan's composure drained like water from a cracked glass. "I'm warning you," he said. "You're interfering with something you don't understand. And you're lying about something we're about to understand completely," Keisha replied. Brooke announced loudly from the counter, "The principal isn't picking up, but the office said her parents didn't authorize you for any pickup today." The diner erupted into whispers. Ryan went pale. Lily pressed her face into Keisha's side, whispering, "I told you." "He tricked me." Keisha placed a hand on her back. "You're not going anywhere with him," she said firmly. "Not now. Not ever." Ryan's mouth trembled with silent rage, because the power he walked in with was slipping through his fingers, piece by piece, as the truth started pushing him into a corner. The tension inside the diner tightened like a wire pulled to its limit. Ryan's eyes darted from face to face, searching for even one person who still believed him. He didn't find a single one. Brooke kept the phone pressed to her ear. "They're transferring me to the district office. Someone's picking up." Ryan lunged forward. "That's not necessary. Give me the phone." The biker stepped between them with a low growl. "You touch that phone, and you're touching the wrong man's patience." Ryan froze. Keisha lifted her chin at him. "You're running out of explanations." Lily clung to her waist, whispering, "Please, don't let him take me." He said I'd disappear." Someone gasped near the back. Keisha tightened her hold around the girl. "You're safe. I promise." Brooke finally spoke, voice trembling. "They checked the school logs. Lily's parents didn't authorize anyone to pick her up. Not today. Not ever." Ryan's voice cracked like thin glass. "That's not true. That's not..." "She's confused. She's always confused." "No," Keisha said, stepping closer. "She remembers perfectly. You're the one scrambling." Ryan's mask broke completely. He hissed at Keisha, "You're sticking your nose in places you don't belong. And you're standing in a room full of witnesses who finally see the real you," she replied. Lily whispered, Tell them the rest." Keisha knelt beside her. "It's okay, sweetheart." Lily wiped her eyes. "He told me if I told anyone he took me, he would make sure my mommy thought I ran away." The whole diner erupted in shock. Ryan slammed his fist on the counter. "She's lying." But no one believed him anymore. Brooke's phone buzzed. She answered, listened, and went pale. Then she looked straight at Ryan. "The district office says Lily's mother filed a missing child alert an hour ago." Ryan went dead still. His hands twitched, not toward Lily, but toward his back pocket. The biker moved instantly. "Don't even think about it." Ryan froze in place, chest heaving, eyes wild. The truth was out. He wasn't a guardian. He wasn't a counselor. He wasn't anything he claimed to be. He was something else entirely. Something Lily ran from barefoot. A missing child alert was filed, and the only man denying it is the one who picked her up without permission. If he wasn't taking her home, where was he taking her? If you believe this should never happen again, share this video. And to everyone watching from the US, UK, and Canada, your voice matters. Ryan's breathing turned shaky. Too fast, too shallow, like a man who finally realized the ground under him wasn't carpet. It was a trapdoor. Outside, the distant echo of police sirens bled through the diner windows. Brooke stepped back on the phone, her voice steady now. "They're on their way, and they said keep them inside." Ryan snapped, "You can't keep me here. You people have no authority." But the biker blocked the exit with one slow shake of his head. "Sit down," he said, "before you make this worse for yourself." Ryan's lips curled, but he didn't move forward. He couldn't. The room wasn't his anymore. Keisha kept Lily behind her, hand firm on the girl's trembling arm. "You hurt this child," she said quietly, "and you thought nobody would stand in your way." Ryan growled, "I didn't hurt anybody. She wanted attention. She likes to lie." Lily sobbed into Keisha's apron. "You said you'd take me where no one would find me." Ryan's expression popped like a blister. "Shut up." The entire diner jolted. The trucker stood up with his fists clenched. "You just raise your voice at a kid. That's enough for me." Brooke stepped beside Keisha now. "You're done, sir. Completely done." Ryan backed into the counter, chest rising and falling with panic breaths. "None of you understand. He couldn't finish a sentence anymore. The door banged open. 2 officers stepped in fast, hands near their holsters. "Which one is?" Brooke pointed. "That's him." Ryan's voice scrambled. "Officers, I'm a counselor. I was taking her home. They're all confused. The child is unstable." Lily peeked out and whispered, "He took me from school. I didn't want to go." Keisha guided her forward slowly. "This man is not who he says he is, and she's terrified of him." One officer crouched to Lily's level. "Sweetheart, you're safe now." Ryan lunged toward them as if grabbing a final chance. "I didn't do anything." 3 hands grabbed him at once. His arm twisted behind his back. Metal cuffs clicked shut. He roared, "You're all ruining my life." Keisha glared at him. "You were ready to ruin hers." Ryan was dragged out the door, screaming. A man whose lies finally collapsed under the weight of one truth he couldn't escape. Lily watched from behind Keisha, tears falling. But this time they weren't from fear, they were from relief. The diner slowly returned to its evening hush, but nothing felt like it had an hour ago. Not the lights, not the air, not the people. Lily sat in a corner booth now, wrapped in a soft diner blanket, holding a warm cup of cocoa with both hands. Her fingers were still trembling, but her breathing wasn't. Keisha slid into the seat beside her, careful, gentle, like approaching something fragile that had survived a storm. "You did the bravest thing a child can do," Keisha whispered. Lily leaned her head against Keisha's shoulder. "I just didn't want to disappear." Keisha placed a hand on top of hers. "You won't. Not while I'm breathing." Across the diner, officers quietly gave statements to Brooke while the trucker explained what he saw. The biker lingered by the door, making sure no one shady tried to slip back in. Everyone played a part, even if they didn't realize it. The world outside was dark, but the neon diner sign glowed like a small lighthouse, the kind ships follow when they're lost. A few minutes later, a woman rushed in, hair undone, face streaked with tears, chest heaving like she'd been running for days. "Lily!" The girl shot out of the booth so fast the blanket fell behind her. "Mom!" They collided in the middle of the diner. Arms locked, so tight, it looked like neither wanted to let go ever again. Her mother sobbed into her hair, whispering, "I'm here, baby. I'm here. I'm here." Keisha stepped back, giving them space. The officer spoke softly. "Ma'am, your daughter is safe because this woman stopped the man who took her." Lily's mom turned, eyes wet. She walked straight to Keisha, grabbed both her hands, and whispered, "Thank you for saving my child." Keisha shook her head. She saved herself. "I was just standing where I needed to be." The woman pulled her into a hug anyway, fierce, grateful, unspoken. After they left, the diner grew quiet again. Keisha walked toward the window, watching police cars roll away, their lights fading down the road like the end of a bad dream. She exhaled slowly, a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Behind her, Brooke said softly, "You all right?" Keisha nodded. "Yeah, just letting my heart catch up." Brooke smiled. You stopped a monster tonight." Keisha kept staring at the empty road. "No," she whispered. "A little girl did. I just refused to let her face him alone." The diner lights glowed warm around her, and for the first time that night, Keisha allowed herself to feel safe too.